Welcome to another episode of 7 Minutes or Less. I'm your reviewer, Doug, your one-stop commentary shop of all the shows you love and want to get into. Keep in mind, this is a spoiler-free review, but some aspects of Season 1 will be spoiled. Before I get started, let me know down in the comments section what you think of Arrow Season 2. If you've seen it, or if you haven't, are you interested? With all that said, let's get into this. So, Arrow Season 2 starts off with a bang after the events of Season 1. After Malcolm Merlyn tried to level the city, it left a lot of people in ruins, metaphorically and physically. Buildings were destroyed, people that Quentin and Oliver put away have escaped, so that's definitely not good. With Tommy dead and Laurel left questioning herself, things are just not as great as they once were. Oliver swears never to kill again. The flashbacks are highly prominent, showing the times that Oliver, Slade, and Shadow go through. Our characters are further expanded, considering Thea and various others like Roy, and on top of all of that, we get more characters in the mix. I'll go through all the new story arc and new characters in a second, but God knows I gotta talk about how this season was. While I enjoyed most of Arrow Season 1, I did fear the lack of motivational episodes from time to time, wondering when the downtime will be. Was that a really necessary episode? But in Arrow Season 2, God knows I was worried there too. But the beauty about Season 2 is there was never a dull moment. Keep in mind, I've never seen Arrow before I made this review. All I have is the consensus of how many people see these seasons. To some, Arrow Season 1 is good, and it was for me as well. But Season 2, I've heard things really kick off in this season. And this, my friends, is where I'm inclined to agree with you. Arrow Season 2 is absolutely badass from beginning to end. So many stories, so many action sequences, amazing work from the cast and crew. They gave it their all. I literally cannot pick just one episode that I felt capitalized the essence of Arrow. Each episode took care into the story that either needed to be more explained, moments that needed to just be, or stories that had to end. And not just one person is affected. Oliver may have a secret to keep being this newly named Arrow, no longer the Hood, but everyone else around him have story arcs that build further into the world-building, ever-expanding universe of Arrow. For starters, Barry Allen is in this, and I was completely caught off guard when that episode came up. It was at this point I got excited and extremely curious where they would take his character and what they would do with him whilst him being an ordinary human being. And the story surrounding that was really good considering this was his origin point. Aside from the potential spin-off TV shows, because we know what happened by this point, Oliver has to face a lot in these 23 episodes. He deals with Isabel Rochav, I may have been saying that wrong, a woman taking over Queen Consolidated. Moria is on trial for murder since the earthquake. Thea dealing with some game-changing family issues along with her boyfriend Roy, who is looking for the Arrow. Laurel is diving deep into herself since the tragedy that struck back in Season 1, and let's face it, in the events of Season 2 are really heavy hitting for her. If there's anyone who gets the short end of the stick in story, hammering down hard into the mental status of a character, it's Laurel. She finds herself in the middle of a lot and can't cope. And if matters weren't bad enough, a new vigilante springs up called the Canary. Who she is and what she does I won't spoil, but God knows you'll call it when you see it yourself. But by this season through, I really enjoyed the Canary's character. Malcolm Merlyn is in this, but not by much. He has a handful of episodes where it counts most, but he ultimately plants the seed and then leaves. Nevertheless, Arrow Season 2 took every story you wanted to see expanded and made it better. There was so much excitement in each episode alone. I couldn't believe how much jam-packed it was with so many Easter eggs. One in particular I geeked out on, which was the episode Suicide Squad. One hell of a obvious shout out went to Harley Quinn. You don't see her or she's mentioned by name, but she does claim she's a trained therapist. I almost felt bad for that moment because I really wanted to see Harley Quinn in that moment, regardless of rights to who owns what character. But I'm saving the best for last, guys. If you are wondering why I haven't mentioned it by this point, it's because I was saving it for this moment right here. Deathstroke has made his way to the top of the list and Arrow has to deal with him, and my god, Deathstroke Slade Wilson is one hell of a force to be reckoned with for Oliver Queen, and has one hell of a grudge. The flashbacks are painstakingly placed in every single episode, and they take you on a journey that you already essentially know what Oliver's going to go through, and as he makes and creates friends, he also makes and creates enemies. Deathstroke comes in about episode 14, and this is where the season really kicks off. If it hadn't kicked off for you then, it will now. It was just one heavy hitter after another, and it's crazy they pulled out all the stops for this season. And for that, I'm going to give Arrow Season 2 an A. Do check out this season, and also, of course, the one before it. You know, you can't do one without the other, but they're definitely both worth buying and owning in for your collection. If there was something I didn't mention here, I might have mentioned it in my universe review of Season 2's Arrow. Go and check that out in the description box below. If you guys and gals are new here, I'd like to invite you to my channel. General reviews are pretty much what I like to do here for 7 minutes or less. Kind of talk about what's worth mentioning and be respectful to those who haven't seen it. Comment below and tell me what you think of the show thus far, if you've seen it, and if you haven't, what interests you about Arrow. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're feeling generous. Every little bit helps, and in the end, that's all that matters, and this is what 7 minutes or less is all about. This is your one-stop commentary shop. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll get you more videos in the future.